What's the one body part you're forgetting about as you age? There's actually about 4,000 of them in our body, and we're just ignoring them.
Okay, that is a lot. Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Weening.
I'm Dr. Paul Zalzal.
So as we age, we think about your muscles are going away, you got sarcopenia, you're thinking about your bones are slowly deteriorating, you're getting osteoporosis, but not a lot of people think about these other couple things.
The tendons really is what we're talking about, and ligaments to a lesser degree, but mainly your tendons. These things, as we age, suffer and can get injured and actually completely rupture. We see that all the time.
All the time. So think of like your muscles kind of like the engine, your bones are kind of like the frame, and then your tendons and your ligaments are these strong cables that kind of connect them all together.
Yeah, they are at risk, right? Your muscle, I mean, we've got 650 skeletal muscles. Let's name them all.
Okay, no thank you.
And they move your bones, about 206 skeletal bones that they move around.
Yep.
All right. And how are those two organs joined? The muscle is joined to the bone with the tendon.
Right, and the tendon's actually like a spring. So when the muscle contracts, it pulls on it, but it actually loads that spring, so the amount of energy gets efficiently transferred. And that's why some people you see, they can run and jump with ease. Right. They're just someone that can transfer that energy to the tendon and store it more effectively than the person who runs and makes a lot of noise when they're running.
Right, and that chain is not the smartest one if you think about it. Well, it's smart in a lot of ways, but the muscles, that's kind of soft, that kind of moves. Then you've got the stiffness of the tendon, which is a little stiffer than the muscle.
Yeah.
And that's attached to something that's super stiff.
Right.
The bone. So if something's going to give, the tendon is one of those things. And we see this. We're not just making this up. We see quadriceps tendon ruptures.
Yep.
We see Achilles tendon ruptures.
Yep.
We see bicep tendon ruptures. We see ruptures in our fracture clinics all the time. And some of these can be treated non-operatively, but many of these really need surgery pretty urgently when you rupture some of these tendons.
Right, a tendon is just long parallel strands of collagen fibers, and these continuously get remodeled. You have little injuries and then your body repairs them, and when we're younger, we're really good at repairing them. We make nice, perfectly straight lines. Think of it like a rope. But as we age, the repair process becomes less efficient and incomplete, and then not only does kind of become more disorganized, but also our body starts to deposit things called advanced glycation end products. We've talked about
that acronym. Age.
Age, yeah, ironically. So we talked about this before, as these can be present when you grill stuff on a barbecue. Actually, they lead to increased inflammation and oxidation, and AGEs in and of themselves are not a problem, but they can cause this kind of disorganization of this rope. So imagine if you left a rope outside for like 30 years. It still looks like a rope, but it's weak, and the fibers are not organized in a normal fashion.
And so why is this relevant to you? Because you may be thinking about doing something to manage your bone structure.
Yep.
You might be doing some resistance training to keep your muscles strong, but your tendons may be neglected. And those are the things we see. The quadricep tendon, a sudden deceleration, going upstairs, missed a step, something like that, ruptured quadricep tendon. You cannot walk with a ruptured quadricep
Lowering a
tendon.
box down, all of a sudden you feel that pop in your elbow.
The biceps, yes. Or the Achilles tendon as well. The pickleball injury, right? Or there's a lot of different ways to rupture your Achilles tendon. And these things take a long time to recover from.
Right. And the trouble is often you say you haven't been inactive for a long time, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing some stuff. The muscles respond very quickly. They like resistant loads. They get bigger. They get stronger. You're like, wow, I'm feeling really, really good. Unfortunately, the tendon responds much more slowly. So you're feeling really good. You're like, okay, I'm going to go play pickleball for 4 hours.
Right.
This is when the problem happens. It's kind of that imbalance between the tendon is just lagging behind. It just needs more time to catch up as far as like the fitness aspect.
Right. And so you can get those acute ruptures in that setting. Or if you start using it and overusing a certain tendon, then you can get this tendinopathy.
Right.
It may not be an acute rupture, but it can definitely cause some disability. You'll get that golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, Achilles tendonitis, patellar tendonitis. These tendinitises, they can really slow you down, really hamper your...
Yeah, we used to call it tendonitis. Now we call it tendinopathy, and it's different than a tear. So sometimes you have both.
Yes.
But yeah, the tendinopathy versus the tear, they are different. And so what happens over time is that the little damage slowly accumulates, and then you do get significant wear. There are other risk factors, though, that make your tendons weak. Smoking is one of the most modifiable risk factors. Diabetes is bad for your tendons. Certain medications can be bad for your tendons. Carrying extra weight, so putting supraphysiologic loads on your tendons, is bad for your tendons. So those are kind of some of the modifiable risk factors that can lead to not only the tendinopathy, but also ultimately to the rupture. So,
and when do these things heal? Oftentimes while you're asleep. That's why getting a good night's sleep, enough sleep, gives your body enough time to repair the micro damage that's happened throughout the day. There was a good article that showed that young athletes injure themselves much more commonly when they're sleep deprived compared to...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's also why you need rest days between hard workouts. So people that you definitely have to work different muscle groups, but often like a true rest day, you're going to actually see more benefits, which I think some people become obsessed and then they don't take those days off and actually are doing themselves harm rather than allowing those injuries those little micro injuries that are good, time to repair.
Okay, so now what if I've injured a tendon? Do I just rest then? That's it? Shut her down, don't move, lie there and let it heal? Is that the idea?
So this is sometimes the biggest mistake. So if you have a complete rupture, obviously this needs specific, unique attention. So like Paul said, if you rupture your quad tendon, you actually can't lift your leg. If you rupture your Achilles, you can't push down at all. So often you'll need to either be immobilized in some type of device, you potentially need an operation, and that whole protocol is very different. But what I would say is no, if you have a tendinopathy or you have aging tendons, these definitely respond to work, but you have to start slowly. So if you're on the more severe side, short of an injury, isometric exercises have been shown to be uniquely beneficial. So what is an isometric exercise?
Isometric exercise. Iso means doesn't change. Metric is sort of a measure of distance. So basically those exercises that you do where you're not changing the length of that muscle tendon unit. So like a wall sit, for example. You're not moving up, you're not moving down, you're just sitting there holding it, but you're using your muscles and your tendons during that exercise. So any kind of isometric exercise, and not just during the recovery period. Isometric exercises have been shown to help the tendons a lot more in a lot healthier fashion. If you start exercising, resistance training, you are going to increase the stiffness of your tendon.
Right, which is ironically good, right?
That's a great idea because that's going to help you transfer the load of the muscle to the bone, the load of the bone to the muscle as efficiently as possible. However, that stiffness can lead to rupture during sudden acceleration or sudden deceleration.
And similar to the wall sit, so you're trying to work on your Achilles tendon. So rather than doing calf raises, which is a dynamic exercise where the muscle is changing length, you bend your knee, lean forward, then you feel that passive stretch, maybe up against the wall, depending on if you're trying to get your gastroc or your soleus, having the knee bent, but you'll feel that slow, steady kind of stretch. And then are isometric exercises enough? Can you just do isometric exercise and say, I'm never going to actually work it?
No, I think it's got to be part of a whole sort of more holistic training program.
Right.
Certainly then we talk about things like loading to failure and things like that. Not failure in the terms of loading to rupture, but pushing something or lifting something as hard as you can until you can't anymore. That's that sort of load to failure that we talk about that really does increase muscle and can also help the tendons eventually.
Right, so we talked about the risk factors, so things like smoking, diabetes, obesity, and inactivity is obviously a big one. So a risk factor is going from nothing to a lot of activity in a short period of time. The other thing is if you've had a previous injury. If you have had a previous injury, that tendon is more at risk to either repeat injury or potentially even a rupture, but it doesn't mean that you can't remodel. Even well into the end of our lives, 70s, 80s, 90s, you still have potential. Our bodies are not as good at it, for sure, but you still can do it and our bodies still respond to that isometric exercise followed by progressive overload.
Okay. Anabolic steroids, that's another risk factor.
Yep,
we do see
sure
that.
is.
Pec tendons often tear in those settings. So the idea is we just don't want you to ignore your tendons. And that's our fault. I mean, how many videos have we made? How many times have we talked about your muscles, resistance training, and the obligatory muscle loss that happens? And we've talked about bone loss that happens as we age, but we've left out that missing link.
Tendon and the ligament, yeah. So what's the take-home message, Paul?
The take-home message is just that. Don't ignore the tendons. Don't forget about the tendons. These things can injure, can rupture, and cause a lot of disability. So you've got to consider them in part of your exercise routine with your isometrics. You've got to consider them when you take up a sport, start training for a sport. We often talk about that. Don't just jump into a sport. Take 2, 3, 4 weeks to train up before you take on a new sport. And make sure that you're modifying the risk factors that you can modify. The smoking, the poor diet, the poor sleep.
Carrying extra weight. But this is a living tissue, it is adaptable, and it responds to training. So try to do your best to stay consistent and be sensible. Gradually increase, and then you can try to avoid having some of these injuries that can be very, very debilitating.
And don't ignore those injuries. If you do develop a tendinopathy, start addressing it right away because left unchecked, they do also increase your risk of a full rupture.
Now you know. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, share your experience with either a tendinopathy or, heaven forbid, a tendon rupture.
This video has been sponsored by Your Tendons. Remember, you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time.